So maybe the best running mate for Reparation H would be P-Butt. They have a similar affinity for and record of accomplishment on green energy. Remember, P-Butt was not so long ago on Face the Nation, where he was talking about how much progress that they've made on the backdoor Green New Deal gambit when it came to the billions that were allocated to set up charging stations. 500,000 charging stations will be completed. This, Eisenhower-like transportation infrastructure that the Biden administration is going to provide at your expense. 500,000 charging stations by 2030. And where are they now?
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful. Again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers. And the very first handful of chargers are now already being physically built.
It's so exciting.
It's not even a baker's dozen.
So exciting. Margaret Brennan couldn't even contain her laughter. She couldn't even stomach that sort of agitprop.
But I love how
the first 7 or 8 are done, and that's basically after you get through the first 7 or 8. Those are the toughest, and then the other 499,993. I mean, that just happens.
I love how it's a new category of federal investment.
So,
okay, thank you.
Kamala Harris has had a similar moment. She and EPA Administrator Michael Regan just 2 years ago announced a $1 billion giveaway as part of a total of $5 billion for the EPA as part of the backdoor Green New Deal. $1 billion giveaway to 389 school districts for 2,463 electric buses. This is 2 years ago.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
2 days today, I should say, of the 398 school districts and the 2,463 electric buses that were going to be provided by this $1 billion of redistribution, 27 school districts have a bus amounting to 60 buses, while twice as many districts have pulled the plug on participating at all. 389, 2,400 plus buses, 27, 60 buses at a cost of $1 billion. So $7.5 billion there, another $1 billion here, and the big Green New Deal dream. Well, they still have it. I mean, don't forget how excited Kamala Harris was to learn that when you plug a charger into an EV, it's not like when you fill up your gas tank. There's no fumes.
See, it's plugged in, so is it plugged into just a normal electric socket, right?
Yes, normally it's a 240 volt, but you can go ahead and plug in, and
okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are.
That's it.
And there's no sound or fume.
There is nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
So
all there
for
is
all of
to
us
it.
who are used to,
Every morning
filling our tank, you usually can smell it and you can hear it. You can hear the guzzling sound.
Right.
None of that.
None of
so
that.
how do I know it's actually working?
Hear the guzzling sound. That's what Willie Brown used to say.
So typically, once you wave the card, it's actually
Say it.
charging. So
But how would I know that? Tell me how I would know that.
How would I know
typically,
it's charged?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So typically, you come in, you wave this card, and then what it would do is it would authenticate, and then it'll
Yeah. So how would I know when it's charged? Is because it's different. She knows when she's done when it came to the guzzling sound. For more on this, Steve Moore is an economist. He's the author of Govzilla. He joins us now. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hi, Amy. By the way, Dan, I think you're being very, very unfair to Pete Buttigieg and to Kamala Harris. I guarantee you by the year 2200, we will have those 500,000 charging stations.
Right, but instead of $7.5 billion, it will have cost It will have cost 7.5 trillion by then. That will be the difference.
Well, that's nothing. I mean, that's nothing because our Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, says that we have to spend worldwide $87 trillion to reduce the temperature of the planet. $87 trillion of government spending will do that. And our slice of the pie is $25 trillion. We can do that. We can come up with that.
$3 trillion a year from now until 2050. That's what Captain Kangaroo said. You're right. So
look, that is a small price to pay to give all this money to government so they can save the planet. Come on, Dan. You're living in the ice age when the planet was still cold. We're warming, and the only way to stop this is by spending $87 trillion.
Yeah. So your review of, again, this is like we know who this person is. We need to stop on the conservative side pretending like Kamala Harris. What do you think of her? Like we have no idea who this person is. The approach that Trump should take with her on matters economic, as she was touting yesterday in Atlanta, she'll put her record on immigration, everything else, right up against Trump's.
Well, good, because we have a report people can go to on our website, unleashprosperity.com, where we look at the 20 major economic statistics measurements of how an administration does, whether you look at things like deficits, whether you look at unemployment, whether you look at inflation, whether you look at gas prices, small business confidence, all these things. And out of 18 out of the 20, Trump's Biden, Harris. And so, let's put those records side by side. By the way, the illegal immigration, because she was I don't care how many times they deny it, she was the border czar. She was in charge of the border. She must have been, because she went there twice, or was it once or twice? I forget which one it was. But the amount of illegal immigration when Kamala Harris has been in charge of the border, has been 5 to 6 times greater than the amount of illegal immigration under Trump.
Yeah.
So
right.
how do you come up with the conclusion that I have a better record than he does?
They're spinning her record as a prosecutor. She was taking the drug cartels apart when she was Attorney General of California.
And she hung out with a guy named Quavo, what was his name?
Quavo.
Quavo.
So she learned from Quavo that, you got to walk your talk.
Well, the thing I find really remarkable about, I don't really actually know that much about her. She's been, kind of, a little bit of a mystery to all of us. But the fact is that she keeps saying stuff like, well, I never said I was against fracking. Well, Kamala, we have you on tape of saying this. I was never in favor of a single-payer health system. We have you on tape. She's just this kind of contortionary maneuver where she flip-flops on every single issue. And incidentally, I would love to have her come on your guys' show. And Dan, I would love for you to, if you had her on your show, to ask her, hey, Kamala, what is fracking? I don't even think she knows what it is.
No, and she doesn't know how to run a business because she's never owned a business.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes her par for the course. Biden, 95% of the people in the Biden administration have never owned or even worked for a business. But, I think she's having a honeymoon period, and we'll see, how long that lasts before people start to see her real record.
I want it to end now. I've
Yeah.
had enough, and they keep stringing this out because they're not going to announce the VP pick until next Monday. You're in D.C. What are you hearing
about the VP?
Yep.
You know what? I don't think it matters one iota.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think it matters. This is this is all about Kamala, and I want to swing this back to you, Amy, because all I'm hearing is, oh, my God, women love Kamala. She's going to win 90% of the women's vote. They love her. Are you in that camp?
No, but I have neighbors that are re-energized, now because, they were down on Biden, but now they have this new renewed energy for her. But women have been through this song and dance before with Hillary Clinton, I'm just waiting for the right woman. I don't need, I could die tomorrow and I'll be fine never having had a female president in the United States. It doesn't matter. You just want the most qualified person to be the president.
Right. Well, I think, we should have a woman president, but we should have one who is
competent,
has her head on her shoulders.
Right.
Kamala, she's had 2 jobs in her life, really. She was Attorney General of California, and what happened there? The crime rate went through the roof. And then she was the border czar, and what happened there? The amount of illegal immigration went through the roof.
Right.
She's well qualified to be our commander-in-chief.
But I will tell you something with all this like women empowerment. Well, just real quick, this makes me really wish and have buyer's remorse that Trump did not pick Nikki Haley.
I'm with you totally. I think it was a big mistake. You and I think alike. I was saying,
you should, if that's true, Steve, you may want to reflect on that.
Well, I mean, I think that if I'm with Amy, I think if he had picked Nikki Haley, it would have been game, set, and match. And
well, take the wind out of her sails right now for this last week and a half.
So the vice president matters for Trump, but it doesn't matter for Kamala Harris.
Well, I don't think it matters who she takes, but I think Trump does have a problem with women voters. There's no doubt about that, and I think
and Nikki Haley would have eliminated that.
Not eliminated. I think she could have raised his percentage of the vote by 1 or 2 percentage points, and in a race like this, that matters a lot. J.D. Vance doesn't add much of anything to the ticket, frankly. I mean, I like J.D. personally, and he's a good man, but I don't think anybody's going to go, I'm going to go for Trump because J.D. Vance is on the ticket. But I do think it would have been also a way.
Sean O'Brien may, the Teamsters president, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That's true. Well, but look, this is always about the president. This is about Trump versus Kamala, and frankly, and I love Trump. I'm a part of his campaign team. But I kind of almost wish he might go in the basement a little bit for a while, and sometimes it's almost too much Trump.
Well, that's my working thesis is whichever candidate talks the least between now and November 5th wins.
Yeah, well, that's going to be quite a contest.
Yeah, it is. Well, I don't want to get you in hot water, but Project 2025, the director of Project 2025 at the Heritage Foundation resigned yesterday, and Chris LaCivita, the campaign manager for Trump, said that reports of Project 2025's demise would be greatly welcomed and should serve as a notice to anyone or any group trying to misrepresent their influence with President Trump and his campaign. It will not end well for you. I mean, I really have a problem with that attitude. First of all, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Look, I think here's my attitude about Project 2025. And in full disclosure, I co-wrote the tax chapter, which I think is excellent, by the way. I think it's a great blueprint for how we should fix the tax system. But it was, I think the problem, Heritage tried to sell it where they were saying this is Trump's blueprint. Well, it's not Trump's blueprint.
Right.
It's the conservative, it's the Conservative Heritage Foundation's blueprint. We've done that. I worked on the first one of these back in 1984 when Reagan was president. We presented it was called the Mandate for Leadership. We presented it to Reagan. He said, I'm going to adopt some of these things, and some of them he didn't. But I think the problem was that they tried to sell it as like the Trump thing, and it wasn't. And there were some things in that Trump, were embarrassing to Trump, and he distanced himself from it. But I think it's a good report. So, and I don't agree with some of the ideas in it, but I still think it has a lot of really good policy advice. And so I think some of those attacks are unfair.
Well, of course they are, and neither do I agree with everything in it. It's 900 pages. I mean,
928.
Right. So who's going to agree with everything in it? But the point is, like, this is what the Trump blueprint should be, according to the Heritage Foundation. But for the Trump campaign to sort of start from the premise of the left is to take the bait. Because Joy Reid and these other demagogues are trying to use this as Trump's Mein Kampf. He's Hitler, and this is his blueprint for the end of the republic, and just say, look, yeah, it's a think tank. They've got some ideas in there I like. They got a lot of ideas I don't like, just like every other think tank in D.C. and every other. They got some opinions. They're policy wonks. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I have my own agenda, and I'll incorporate what I like and what I won't what I don't like. I mean, why did they make it more controversial than it otherwise needed to be by taking this hard line and this LaCivita, and I know Chris a little bit, and I like him fine, but I mean, this sort of don't try to impose your. I got ideas. I got disagreements. Feel free to disagree. Why does it have to be like if you stray? It gets that it comes across as if you stray from Trump orthodoxy, then down you go. What kind of attitude is that?
Well, no comment on that. But I mean,
Yeah,
I
okay.
was.
I understand.
I would simply say that this is a conservative manifesto. There's a lot of very good ideas in there. I think Trump, when he gets elected, and I think he is going to win, will adopt a lot of these ideas. He's not going to adopt all of them. And I think some of the social policy issues that they talked about at Heritage in that report are probably not things that Trump wants to do. So he'll pick and choose. And I think the thing has been so overblown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And and the response
By the
makes
way,
it
it'd be
more
like
so.
saying, it would be like saying if Earth First came out with this report saying we're going to eliminate all energy in the world, blah, 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 and then they say, oh, look, Biden's for that. I mean,
Yeah, but he is for that. That's the difference.
Right, that's the difference. But I know people are talking about Project 2025. Randomly, I'd hear people talking about it when I was in line at Walgreens or.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
that's like saying
unbelievable.
weird. They have no idea what it is. They're just repeating
No, I know, and
the
I
talking
stopped
point from
people
the
and I said,
central office.
I go, Trump did not author that. They said, well, his friends did.
For
Oh God!
I mean,
You can't reason with stupid,
well, that's
and
what
there's
I'm
always
saying.
going to be plenty of stupid in Chicago.
Spending any time trying to chase down the idiots for the latest who are repeating the latest talking points, so from the central office is just a complete fool's errand. All right, Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
What's
got,
that?
got his blood pressure up.
Thanks,
He's saying
Steve.
thank you and goodbye.
We got to go. We'll talk to you later.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing